Hello, girlies. Welcome to our weekly lives happening every single week at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, we're going to be chatting all about constipation and why Miralax is not the solution or any other type of laxative or medication, because it doesn't get to the root cause. So we're going to be diving deeper into that, because I know the frustration and the overwhelm of when you go to the doctor and you're like, something isn't right, I'm not having a bowel movement every day like I know I should be. And they're like, oh, it's fine, just take a laxative. It's just disheartening, and it kind of is just, it feels like a brush off. Maybe you feel that way too. And I'm sure this isn't the first time you have looked into, what do I do if I'm constipated or bloated or anything like that. And so it's not you that's wrong. It's just the systems and the methods that have been applied, and figuring out actually how to take the right steps and what to do next is where the magic happens. So for those of you that are new to me, my name is Laura Martin. I am the creator and founder of Healing to Happy, where I help women struggling with IBS to heal using the gut-brain connection. I have like the certifications, the background, all that kind of stuff, but it's my own personal life experience that set me on this journey after struggling for 13 years with IBS and anxiety and depression. My body really took a turn, and my health took a turn, even though I was quote unquote following the perfect gut protocol, like low FODMAP fasting. I eliminated 13 different food groups, like no nightshades, no legumes, no any of that kind of stuff. My body just plummeted, and I realized there had to be a different way. Like there had to be a way that allowed me to have freedom in my food and my life and control over my health. And so I set out on this mission that has then created this international platform that has helped hundreds of others girlies, which is why I jump on here every single week to bring this value to you guys, because I know the internet is overwhelming, especially when it comes to gut health right now. Like every single thing tells you to cut out gluten, cut out dairy, cut out sugars, cut out your favorite foods, take the IgE tests, and it's a lot. And so I kind of just want to bring some light to it. So every single week we show up here and we kind of answer those questions. One question that I get asked a lot is that, okay, so I'm taking Miralax and this is what I'm just taking daily. It's either helping or it's not, or this is what my doctor told me, like I don't want to take medications, what do I do? And so that's why I wanted to bring this one forward today. So I also wanted to remind you guys that it is the first week of month. So I have roadmap calls open. So you and I can jump on a call for 30 minutes to figure out what your roadblocks are and put together a roadmap for how to heal your gut over the next 30 days and what the next right steps are. Clearing out that noise, basically. So you can go to healingtohappy.com/roadmap calls and book in your call there. Back to learning, shall we? So what I wanted, let me pull up my notes for you guys right here to make sure I'm not missing anything. So what we're going to be diving into and covering today is the root causes of constipation, why Miralax is a trap, 3 tips on how to find relief instead, and then of course the gut-brain connection. So let me move this stuff over here. So medications like Miralax will bring you initial relief, but they're not going to actually offset or figure out what's going on. So I want to tell you a little story about this client, Bethany, that I was working with. And so she'd been taking Miralax for upwards to about 6 years. She started when she was young and a teenager. And then as she got older through college years and whatever, eating the foods that she wanted, she just kind of started relying on Miralax to help bring some type of relief. And then when she started working with me was when she hit that roadblock, because as we get older, we start to get curious. When we're younger, we just kind of play around with stuff. But as she got older, she realized, okay, I still have this ball of bricks inside of me, and these laxatives aren't working. So it was like taking more. She was experimenting with different ones. She started doing like senna, like the natural one, and then like the teas, all that kind of stuff. And it didn't really help her out. So what we started working on is that laxatives actually make your gut weaker. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Laxatives actually make your gut weaker because you're not digesting your food. You're not strengthening these. Like these little critters inside of us are alive and well. And so we are made up of trillions of bacteria, majority of them housed inside of our gut. And when we're not giving them diverse nutrition, when we are starving them, when we are giving them the wrong foods at the wrong times and all this kind of stuff, they go crazy. They aren't that strong and we're weakening them. And that's why we start to see food intolerances coming and like growing. Does that sound like you guys at all? So this is what was happening to her. She started to like, it started with, oh, like dairy was slowing me up. And then like doctor said she had a lactose intolerance, and then it was gluten. And then it started to be, was the other one, like peanuts. And then it just started to escalate. And she was like, this doesn't make sense. Like she was eating healthier than she was obviously in college now. And still she was having these laundry list things and having to rely on Miralax, which wasn't actually bringing her any digestive relief at all. And so what we did with her and why this is a trap, right, is, or not what we did with her and why it's a trap, why Miralax is a trap is because you get stuck in it. So then you go to the doctors and you just keep cycling through and maybe like different forms of medications. And then they try and tell you like it's all in your head and you take an SSRI and you're like, none of this makes sense. So it gets you trapped in this cycle because you're not actually getting to the root cause of the issue. And this is where I really encourage you to test, don't guess. When a lot of girlies come in and they're like, I've done a parasite cleanse, I'm like, but like, did you check for that? Like, go test all this stuff. And also be like testing what is going on with your guts, and make sure you go to your doctor, you ask them. And if you don't want medications, cool, that's up to you. Again, this is all educational purposes only. But when you become reliant on these medications, you're weakening your gut lining. And so you're going to be needing these laxatives to get things going. And you get stuck in this cycle. And to break free of that, you actually have to get to the root cause of what's happening. So it could be leaky gut, it could be IBS, it could be SIBO, it could be parasite, it could be a lot of things. All right, ladies, but like this isn't something to be afraid of. This is something that I know Bethany, it's kind of what bogged her down and freaked her out because she was like, oh, do I have SIBO? Do I have this? Do I have that? I didn't have any of that. She just had leaky gut, which happens when you've had over a decade, 6 years, whatever, of staying on these things. You've really weakened just what used to be like battery acid, okay? What used to be something that was strong and could kill off pathogens was your stomach acid. Your stomach acid used to be able to keep you just thriving. But because you've weakened it over the years of just laxatives and like maybe just not eating the right nutrition and stress and lifestyle choices, you've weakened it. And so now it's basically like apple cider vinegar. So to actually get to pooping, you need to heal that, okay? Like continuing on this cycle of Miralax and what else is out there? The teas or like spoonfuls of fiber supplements, what have you out there, these aren't actual solutions to the problem. So one, going and testing. And the second one is figuring out your triggers. And I don't mean going and getting an IgE test. I think I spoke about that last week. I'm not sure. I spoke about it somewhere. But I don't believe in IgE tests because at the end of the day, your favorite foods are going to show up. Again, food isn't the issue. And I say this every single time we jump on this call, is that food is not the issue. The root cause of the issues is the stomach, the metabolic function, and how this whole digestive system is working. Because when on these IgE tests, something's gonna flare up. It's gonna say, hey, you can't have avocados or salmon or spinach or all these kind of foods you normally eat. You can't have these because it shows it's inflammatory. Well, of course it's inflammatory. You eat them, your gut is leaking. So it's leaking through, it's getting through the blood barrier, and it's inflaming your body. It's not the food that's doing that, it's the gut that's allowing the food to get through. So, it's common to have a little bit of bloating, a little bit indigestion, stuff like that. But when your constipation is constant, like you're having this happen time in and time out, and you're only having a bowel movement once, twice a week, this is where the issue lies. And so when you can get to the foundation of what is actually causing this, and this is why in Gut Recharge, we're walking you step by step of, we use the free method. We're looking at the foundations, we're reprogramming, we're evolving and exploring, and we're really getting to the route. So you ultimately, and we're giving you like what to eat, how much to eat, when to eat, walking you step by step on how to get there, because it's not about taking foods out, it's actually adding foods back in. That's how you poop. That's how you poop like a freaking unicorn. When you have enough food, it's a lot for this body to digest. It's a lot of work for this body to have enough fuel to heal and feel that freedom that is so delicious. And so those 3 steps of figuring out how to find relief is really, 1, figuring out your triggers, knowing, okay, so what is setting off your gut? Where's the foundation? So this is where that F is, and walking you through. And if you want, you guys can go download the gut diary at healingtohappy.com/gut diary. And this gives you that. This isn't just looking at what foods you're eating, but are you eating enough of the right foods at the right times and all that kind of stuff, just to check in and go through that. And actually right now, when you sign up for Gut Recharge, I'm personally going through that to tailor that for my clients. So if that's something you guys are interested in, kind of overwhelmed by everything, make sure you go check that out, because that's available this month. The second one is for instant relief is making sure you're eating enough food. And so not just, I guess I could break this up, eating enough food, making sure you're eating enough fiber and fat. And so I do have an article over on my website that talks about this delicious food. We're so caught up on talking about, carbs and keto and fat and caffeine and sugar and gluten, what have you. We forgot about fiber. And we have insoluble and soluble. So we get some fiber from like berries and veggies and all that kind of stuff. And we also get fiber from greens and fruits. And so we want to make sure we have a mix of these two, because if we're not, we can get backed up. And it's like this like saucy little dance that you need to make sure you're balancing between, because if you're having too much of one, you're going to back up. If you're having too little of one, you're going to have the runs. And so you really kind of figure that out to figure out that nice balance between the two. And the other one is fat. And when it comes to nutrition, a lot of gut people are just like, drink more water, eat more fiber. Maybe your doctor has said that to you. But when it comes to these things, is you also, when a tire is stuck, do you throw water at it, or do you put oil on it? You put oil on it, right? And so this is why when you're looking at wanting to get that fiber to pull through so it can take out those toxins and you can eliminate and have a banana-like poop, you need some fat to get you there. Does that make sense to you guys? Are you guys following that? Good. And so the next one that I want to cover is the gut-brain connection. And this is the biggest one with constipation, is just when you are constipated, this whole neurological system, this gut-brain connection is connected. And when you have low neurotransmitters in your gut, it's called constipation. When you have low neurotransmitters in your brain, it's called depression. When you have high neurotransmitters in your brain, that's called anxiety. And when you have high neurotransmitters in your gut, that's called diarrhea and cramping. And time over time, these are the two things that I always see go together. And just like my client Bethany, she was also struggling with depression, like low grade. It wasn't anything major, but it was just, she had her spells, right? She was fluctuating between moods. She didn't feel very energized when she was getting out of bed. She wasn't motivated to do anything, and not anything, but like to go in, like it was hard. It was hard to get out of bed. And even though this was something that was going on for a really long time and it became her normal, she didn't realize, you don't know how good it feels to feel good when you're used to feeling low vibration, bogged down, and when you feel like you have a weight of balls in your belly for the last 6 years. It's hard to feel vibrant, energized, and magnetic like most of us want to feel, right? And so once we figured this out, we narrowed down her triggers and the foods, because and all this kind of stuff, she was able to get her life back, and she was able to be pooping and have this normal function and just feel more herself and focused and energized, and ultimately get back to living her life and eating the foods she enjoyed, because a healthy body can digest all types of food, okay? Because when it's healthy, it can handle cheese, it can handle gluten. I just for lunch just like quickly ran out and had like a nibble of pizza and came back totally fine. Like there's when your body is healthy, it can tolerate small doses of all types of food without getting bloated or run down or all that kind of things. It's just about choosing the route that is best for you, choosing the whole body as a system, as opposed to chasing constipation or chasing the mood swings or chasing only the food stuff. You've got to look at every single thing and how it works together so that you can get the lasting freedom. And it doesn't have to be that hard, right? And like I said, it's just covering the 3 bases there, like looking at what is your foundations and your trigger foods. Are you eating enough of the right foods, the fibers and the fats and the proteins? I've talked about proteins a lot, and carbs and all this kind of stuff, just making sure you know how to build a plate. And then making sure you're tuning into this gut-brain connection, because if you're missing these pillars, you're going to keep being stuck in this cycle of Miralax or Senna or teas or what have you, and running to the doctors every kind of second, which is exhausting. Okay. And so I want you to have the freedom that Bethany has had. Is she got to eat whatever food she wants. She's now has a really good relationship. She's able to be herself in that, without just always thinking about food or always having to wear clothing that doesn't always feel right and just not feeling herself. She's able to have that energy and just be free, you know, and that's the end game, and that's what I want for you all. And so if you have questions around any of this, by all means, do come hang out. We have this every Tuesday. Invite your friends if that's something, share it, like it, all that kind of stuff, so that we can get the word out there that there is actually symptom remission, not just management. You can actually put your symptoms into remission. And if you really want to figure out that next step and you're just like, this is speaking to you, come join me for a roadmap call at healingtohappy.com/roadmap call, because you and I will sit together for 30 minutes and we'll come up with the next right step and see maybe if gut recharge is right for you, or the gut accelerator, or if one of the ebooks, whichever kind of next step is the best one for you, so you can get on your way. You know, it is the month of love, and what better way to love on yourself? So that is all I have for today, my dears. And if you have any questions at all, I will chat with you soon. Happy healings.